The name Easter originated with the names of an ancient goddess and god. The Venerable Bede, 672-735 said, a Christian scholar, first asserted in his book De Ratione Temporum that Easter was named after Easter, A.K.A. Easter. She was the great mother goddess of the Saxon people in northern Europe. Similarly, the Teutonic dawn goddess of fertility was known variously as Auster, Ostera, Ostern, Eostra, Easter, Eoster, Eastra, Easter, Ostran and Ossus. Her name was derived from the ancient word for spring, Easter. Similar goddesses were known by other names in ancient cultures around the Mediterranean, and were celebrated in the springtime. Some were Aphrodite from ancient Cyprus, Ashtaroth from ancient Israel, Astarte from ancient Greece, Demeter from Mycenae, Hathor from ancient Egypt, Ishtar from Assyria, Kali from India, Ostera, a Norse goddess of fertility. An alternative explanation has been suggested. The name given by the Frankish Church to Jesus' resurrection festival included the Latin word alba, which means white. This was a reference to the white robes that were worn during the festival. Alba also has a second meaning, sunrise. When the name of the festival was translated into German, the sunrise meaning was selected in error. This became Ostern in German. Ostern has been proposed as the origin of the word Easter. There are two popular beliefs about the origin of the English word Sunday. It is derived from the name of the Scandinavian sun goddess Sunna, A.K.A. Sun, Frau Son. 5,6 It is derived from Sol, the Roman god of the Sunday. Their phrase Dies Solis means day of the Sunday. The Christian Saint Jerome, d. 420, commented, if it is called the day of the sun by the pagans, we willingly accept this name, for on this day the light of the world arose, on this day the sun of justice shone forth. Many, perhaps most, pagan religions in the Mediterranean area had a major seasonal day of religious celebration at or following the spring equinox. Cybele, the Phrygian fertility goddess, had a consort, Attis, who was believed to have been born via a virgin birth. Attis was believed to have died and been resurrected each year during the period March 22nd to March 25th. About 200 BC, mystery cults began to appear in Rome, just as they had earlier in Greece. Most notable was the Cybele cult centered on Vatican Hill. Associated with the Cybele cult was that of her lover, Attis, the older Thomas, Osiris, Dionysus, or Orpheus under a new name. He was a god of ever-reviving vegetation. Born of a virgin, he died and was reborn annually. The festival began as a day of blood on Black Friday and culminated after 3 days in a day of rejoicing over the resurrection. Wherever Christian worship of Jesus and pagan worship of Attis were active in the same geographical area in ancient times, Christians used to celebrate the death and resurrection of Jesus on the same date, and pagans and Christians used to quarrel bitterly about which of their gods was the true prototype and which the imitation. Many religious historians and liberal theologians believe that the death and resurrection legends were first associated with Attis many centuries before the birth of Jesus. They were simply grafted onto stories of Jesus' life in order to make Christian theology more acceptable to pagans. Others suggest that many of the events in Jesus' life that were recorded in the Gospels were lifted from the life of Krishna, the second person of the Hindu Trinity. Ancient Christians had an alternative explanation. They claimed that Satan had created counterfeit deities in advance of the coming of Christ in order to confuse humanity.
For modern Baha'i Christians generally regard the Attis legend as being a pagan myth of little value with no connection to Jesus. They regard Jesus' death and resurrection account as being true and unrelated to the earlier tradition. Wiccans and other modern-day Neopagans continue to celebrate the spring equinox as one of their 8 yearly Sabbats, holy days of celebration. Near the Mediterranean, this is a time of sprouting of the summer's crop. Farther north, it is the time for seeding. Their rituals at the spring equinox are related primarily to the fertility of the crops and to the balance of the day and night times. In those places, where Wiccans can safely celebrate the Sabbath out of doors without threat of religious persecution, they often incorporate a bonfire into their rituals. Jumping over the dying embers is believed to assure fertility of people and crops.